My hair all right?
No.
Make sure you get my good side. I'm just joshing. I'm really awkward in front of the camera. I don't know what to do with. I don't know what to do with my hands. What's up, guys? We're here today to do a bit of a build breakdown on. Well, it was my. Can't say that anymore. Car's actually no longer mine. My 1987 R31 Skyline, Osdell to be specific. Is that right? Osdell?
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, I'm gonna get to the. I'll get to the front when I get to the front. All right. So yeah, I'll sort of try and. I don't know. Yeah. So we originally bought this car quite a few years ago. It was just used as a track vehicle. Apparently, at some point, it held some record for like quickest stock ECU R31. I don't know. It's not really important. And bought it with a bottom end knock. So we've been through a few motors now, but we've finally got this thing sorted out. So starting from the back and working forward, I guess. The diff is the Borg Warner 78, the factory diff that came out of it. This one I believe is mini spooled. It's nice and tight, it's good. Good for drifting, doing smoke burnouts and such. 3 out 9 gears in the diff there. 2-piece tail shaft, it's got a Hardy Splicer centre bearing. That's brand new with the rebuild. Moving forward to a 25 RB25 DET gearbox, so it's got the good box in it, stuff like that. So we've just done a complete rebuild of this thing. It originally started out as a what was meant to be a quick engine freshener because I could hear just a little bit of a knock in the bottom end there. It was meant to be just a quick engine freshener and a closed door respray. That actually ended up turning into a complete tear down to a shell. Complete tear down to a bare shell, completely resprayed the car inside and out. It's got a silhouette interior in it. The car originally never had a full interior. It was just a track car, but we thought we'd put a full interior in it, make it really nice. And unfortunately, the 6-gauge cluster out of the silo was not usable. So for suspension, we've got some Apexi N1 coilovers in the rear that came out of an S13, modified to fit into the R31. Front suspension is a R31 standard R31 rack with N14 Pulsar rack ends on it. It had a roll center correction kit, but it was slightly too aggressive for this particular setup. The new owner actually is putting this on the road, so we've removed that just to try and bring the wheels in under the guards. Speaking of which, the wheels are 17x9 rotor RBXs with I think they're a negative 12 or 13 offset, so they are a very aggressive wheel. And as you can see, they look. I really like them. They look tough as hell. But yeah, a little bit too aggressive in the front with the roll center kit in it. So we've tried to tame it down just a little bit for the street. So we've got a factory R31 rack with N14 rack ends and S13 front ends. So S13 lower control arms, S13 brakes and knuckles. Still quite an aggressive front end setup. Gets plenty of lock on it. Good for doing drifties and going sideways and stuff like that. Moving back to the fuel system. It's got the factory in-tank pump that lifts to a surge tank inside with a single 044. That runs through the factory fuel lines up to the front. In the interest of it being a drift car too, there's also a pass-through hydro handbrake using an RB factory hydro mount that mounts off the tunnel. And we've actually integrated that into the silhouette center console. So it all looks pretty nice. The hydro is actually quite well hidden from the outside. You've sort of got to look for it to find it, which is nice for that sort of little bit of stealth on the street. So moving forward to the front end, it's got a TI front end on it, with Series 3 headlights and such. Quite a nice looking front end in my opinion. White line sway bars front and back. So move forward to the exciting end of the car up the front here. We've got a very detailed engine bay. I spent a lot of time smoothing out the engine bay, welding up and getting rid of any unused holes and stuff like that. We've moved the battery to the boot. And removed everything out of the engine bay that didn't sort of absolutely have to be there in the interest of making it really tidy. In the boot, we've relocated the battery to the boot in a battery box. We've also relocated the washer spray bottle for the windscreen washers again, just in the interest of getting things out of the engine bay and keeping it nice and tidy. However, everything is still functional. It's got all the lights, washers, wipers, all those sort of things that you need for a street car, all still work, totally functional. Went fairly serious with this engine build, not so much for massive horsepower, but more for reliability and longevity. So it is just an RB30 factory block, stock bottom end, all fresh bearings and rings. Also put billet oil pump gears in an RB25 oil pump and using a Nitto extended crank collar, again just in the interest of longevity. Moving up, this then goes to a Cometic MLS head gasket with ARP head studs. Brand new lifters in the head, reconditioned head, valves all lapped and ground, and some sort of porting and polishing in the top end, just bowl blending and just light porting. Factory camshaft. It's got an APG, forward-facing plenum, a Aeroflow fuel rail with 750cc injectors. Car runs on 98. The hot side, and an XF throttle body. On the hot side, it's just got a stainless high mount manifold with a tile 44mm gate and screamer under the car. And exhaust is just a straight through 3-inch with a hollowed out cap. It's not what I would have chosen to put on the car, but it's just what we used because it came with it. It actually does sound quite nice. It's got a good turbo whistle there out the back, the old Wu-Tang war whistle. Ignition is a factory distributor, but using an upgraded fast or crane, same thing, using an upgraded fast coil pack just to keep the spark up to it under some fairly high boost pressures that we're trying to run with the car. The manifolds are a Chinese, got a stainless high mount manifold with a Chinese GT3582 copy with a 0.63 rear housing. Again, it's not exactly what we'd have spec'd for the car starting from scratch, but it was a turbo that I had off another vehicle that was going to be suitable for the task. The only downside of the 0.63 housing is that trying to run any higher boosts or stuff like that, it starts to get a little bit too much back pressure. Upside is that it's super responsive in this combo. It really does hit quite hard. Just running a 4-inch intake with a pod filter on it, nice old dosey pipe, and no blow-off valve. Also running a tile 44mm gate with a screamer underneath the car. Car runs a Microtech LT8 ECU, which is suitable enough for what this car's intended purpose is. We've got a brand new 600 by 300 Aeroflow intercooler tucked in behind the front bar there. Painted in black just to try and keep it fairly well hidden, so that from the outside the car does look just like a nice tidy R31. Car also runs a remote oil filter setup and external engine oil cooler, which is tucked up under the driver's side behind the rear bar, just to try and keep the oil temps under control when you're giving it hell on the track. It also runs a custom-made catch can setup, runs from the rocker cover into the catch can, which is plumbed back into the intake, and also has a drain back to the sump. The idea being that it's fairly maintenance free at the track. You don't have to empty the catch can or anything like that, and you don't get any fumes inside the cabin. It should all just be recycled and run through the intake. So we just run a manual boost tee in this car, and it's currently tuned at 20 PSI on 98 fuel and makes 380 at the wheels. Should be plenty in a nice light car like this for someone to have a hell of a lot of fun at the track. Do big old smoke burnouts.
Right.
Nice.
And an outro.
So yeah, that's the old Dirty 30 R31, more or less front to back, top to bottom. It is what it is. So thanks for watching, guys. Smash like, smash subscribe, drop a comment down below, and we'll see you on the next one.